Hi guys, welcome to Brains and the Beat. If you're new here, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're oldie but goodie, thank you for staying tuned to your girl. So in today's video, we're going to be revisiting the Keith Clarke case. And a lot of you guys may not remember who the Keith Clarke case is when it was Dudu's extradition and the police, the JCF and JDF officers were given immunity to just do as they please. It was a state of emergency, and one man who died of 21 gunshots, and his name is Keith Clarke, they have it in court that the guys that kill him should be charged for murder. So it says the three soldiers charged with the 2010 murder of Keith Clarke will have to stand trial after the Constitutional Court this morning ruled that the immunity certificates granted to them are invalid, null, and void. So that is the immediate update. And before I go into the immediate update and what the Minister of Security, who is Peter Bunting, had to say about the court annulling or the nullification of the certificates that they had to say, I want to actually revisit the case.
Yes.
No one deserved to just be killed in their home. And I'm gonna read an article outlining how Keith Clarke died. Clarke was shot and killed. Clarke was shot and killed when soldiers reportedly acted on intelligence, went to his house where they believed the country's then most wanted fugitive, Christopher Dulles Coke, was hiding. During an alleged confrontation, Clarke was shot more than 20 times and died in the house he shared with his wife and daughter. Coke would not be found until sometimes afterwards. So they acted on intelligence, ran up in this man's house and shot him 20 times, thinking that he was hiding a fugitive, and at the time he was the most wanted fugitive in Jamaica. He was supposed to be extradited to the US, and they were looking for him but could not find him. And they killed this man, and it's very, very sad that up till this day this case is ongoing and people can't get justice. Certificates were granted to the soldiers in 2016 by National Security Minister Peter Bunting that 4 years after Corporal Ordell Buckley, Lace Corporal Greg Tingle, and Private Arnold Henry were charged with Clarke's murder. But 3 months after hearing a challenge brought by Clarke's widow, Claudette, a 3-member panel judges this morning said the certificates were manifestly unfair and unreasonable. Justice Leanne Pusey, who led the ruling, ordered that the soldier must therefore stand trial. According to the ruling, the soldiers cannot rely on the good faith certificates in the trial. The judge has also reminded attorneys that with the matter set to be tried by a jury, they should be careful about their public utterance about this case. So let's go back to 2010. May 27, 2010, Keith Clarke shot 21 times and died inside his Kirkland Close St. Andrew home. July 30th, 2012, soldiers were charged for Clarke's murder. October 13, 2013, the murder trial of 3 soldiers postponed until March 9, 2015. The murder trial of the 3 soldiers postponed until March 9, 2015 due to the chikungunya's illness on the part of one of the defense lawyers. March 9, 2015, trial rescheduled for October 12, 2015 after the Director of Public Prosecution acceded to a request from attorneys for the soldiers that the trial be delayed pending the completion of the West Kingston Commission of Inquiry. October 12, 2015. Trial rescheduled to February 8, 2016, pending the completion of the West Kingston Commission of Inquiry. February 22, 2016. National Security Minister Peter Bunting signs and issues immunity certificates to Corporal Audley Buckley, Lance Corporal Greg Tingle, Private Arnold Henry. September 19, 2016. The trial pushed back to February 6, 2017. Wow. September 2017, trial again delayed, this time because of unavailability of the Dr. Dennis Rojo, a former consultant pathologist to the Ministry of National Security. April 2018, trial of the soldier, which was to begin, halted due to the presentation of certificates of immunity to the court. November 2019, Constitutional Court hears argument for the legitimacy of the certificates of immunity brought by the widow Clarke. February 18, 2020, the Constitutional Court rules that the certificate of immunity are null and void. As a minister in signing, this is what Peter Bunting had to say. As a minister in signing the good faith certificates, I relied on legal advice and therefore could not have responsibly taken an administrative decision to deny the soldiers access to the certificates of good faith. He contends that the split decision indicates that the issues surrounding the certificates are not clear-cut. I hope that the ultimate resolution of this aspect of the case will provide clear guidance for the future, he said. Noted that the judgment of the Constitutional Court on the issue of good faith certificates issued by me as Minister of National Security in 2016. I am mindful of the fact that this judgment could be appealed and that there may be a jury trial for 3 soldiers involved, so I will limit my comments at this time. However, I'll make the following observations. The court was unanimous in concluding that the minister's power to issue good faith certificates under the Emergency Powers Regulation does not infringe, and it is not in conflict with the principle of the separation of powers enshrined in the Constitution, and the Emergency Powers Regulation do not infringe on the prosecutorial powers of the Director of Public Prosecution under the Constitution. Judgment highlighted the fact that by issuing the good faith certificates, the minister made no determination in relation to the culpability of the defendants. The function performed by the minister could be described as being administrative in nature and was not a judicial process. It cannot therefore be said that in this regard the minister upspurred the role of function of the judiciary. So he's trying to say him giving them the good faith certificates did not find them not guilty. He wasn't trying to act as a court and say that they did nothing wrong. Killing Keith Clarke. Okay, he did it because by law, in a state of emergency, they can give certain soldiers a certificate of good faith, basically. The court was divided on the issue of whether the delay in the issuing of the certificates of good faith was unfair, and the certificates were therefore null and void. The majority indicated that the certificates were null and void due to the length of time that had passed without giving any indication as to what would have been a reasonable time. So the court ruled that the certificates were null and void because they took years to give these 3 soldiers the certificates of good faith. And he's trying to say that there's no timeline or anything in the Constitution that says how many years have to go by or how many months before giving these soldiers, these officers, a certificate of good faith. There's no timeline in our constitution to back that up. So a soldier can do something from 2018, and in 2020 is when the minister decides to give a certificate of good faith. It's still within his rights to do so, because there's nothing in the constitution giving them a specific time frame. As a minister and signed the good faith certificates, I relied on legal advice received and therefore could not responsibly take an administrative decision. We said that already. The split decision by the court indicates that these are not clear-cut legal matters, and I hope the ultimate resolution of this aspect of the case will provide clear guidance for the future. And that's how he ended his statement to the media. I understand in the state of emergency they give JDF and JCF soldiers certain rights and responsibilities that they wouldn't normally have, but something that we have seen quite often when they do this is that these officers mistreat people, and then it becomes a thing where they do stuff in state of emergency and they have no consequences. Very sad that this woman have been going through this for years now, and she in 2020 is still trying to fight for justice for her husband. And I have to give her props where props is due. They have dragged this process out tremendously. I'm thinking they're dragging this process out so much so that people will forget, and also the widow will forget and get over it. But obviously this woman is not going to let her husband die in vain and die just like that. And I have to give her props for that, because if it was a lot of other people, they would have said, I'm over it, I'm tired of going to court, I'm tired of this process being dragged out. And that's what they do a lot in Jamaica. Anytime people try to hold people accountable for their actions, especially where taking them to court is concerned, Jamaican authorities like to drag their feet. They like to use the judicial system in their favor, and that's why Jamaican people have to know the laws in which they live in and use that judicial system to their favor also. I honestly believe that these 3 soldiers that killed this man should actually be put on trial. Not above the law. They're not above what they did to this man. I don't care if it was state of emergency or not. Job to protect and serve Jamaicans people even in the state of emergency. And I don't care who want to use state of emergency as an excuse for doing them wrongdoings, whether it's JDF soldiers or JCF soldiers. It's not okay. So like, comment, share and subscribe. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Do you believe that these 3 soldiers need to be put on trial with a juror of their peers and stand up in court and be held accountable for everything that they did? Do you think that this woman is the upper echelon of women? Keith Clarke's widow, I don't really know her name because they don't mention her name in these articles, because she is fighting years after the fact for her husband, and enough people that said them the woman they don't make again. What are your thoughts on the case? Do you think that Peter Bunting was trying to get them out of this murder trial by giving them that certificate of good faith so they wouldn't be held accountable. Do you think Peter Bunting know exactly what he was doing? Do you think that he was playing a game with Jamaican people, with Keith Clarke's wife and his family, and with the murder trial? Do you think that now he's just trying to fix it up and put his statement out there that he acted on legal advice? What are your thoughts on this case and everything else that I mentioned? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And I'm sorry if you hear my son flinging things around, but mama gotta do what mama gotta do, okay? And I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.